This is Brindlewood Bay Last Resort Part 2. We are minus Drew and Dr. Thibault, but that's okay because I think we had just seen the Mavens leaving the Regal Lady yacht, and so it's perfectly reasonable that Dr. Thibault might have gone off to do other things. So that sounds great to me. Let's do a recap. So a quick character recap, just condition recap. At this point, Beatrice does not have any conditions currently. Dr. Thibault is not with us, but she does have terrified. Ms. Washington, LMA, has shaken, and Violet has close confidant. And old Granny Duquesne has no conditions currently. Okay, doke. Let's talk about the mystery. So the mystery is Dad Overboard. A wealthy financier, Albert Krauss, turned up on the beach dead. His family is currently anchored ashore offshore on their yacht, I should say. And they claim that he probably just got drunk and fell overboard in the middle of the night. But of course, we think there's foul play. Sheriff Dalrymple has asked you just to find evidence of foul play and not to solve the whole mystery. But of course, you are going to solve the whole mystery. And you have some clues towards that. It's complexity 6. You currently have 6 clues, which means if you were to theorize right now, you would be at a flat roll if you work them all in or explain them away. So you may want to do a little more. It's up to you. In any case, the clues are Albert might have been having an affair, particularly with June Willoughby, who is a volunteer at the library. Emily was purchasing books at the Candlelight Booksellers, books on estate planning and probate disputes. That's not fishy at all. There was a wristwatch showing the time 3 hours ahead. It was found on the deck of the yacht. Also on the deck of the yacht was a rug caked in blood. David Krauss has been cut off because he was making far too extravagant gallery purchases. And there was an argument between Sarah and David, but the subject matter was unclear, but apparently it was pretty heated. Our characters are, we call them suspects in this game. Our suspects are Alison Krauss, wife of the deceased. She might be dead also. We saw a scene where she was on the phone and maybe someone like came into the cabin of her yacht and something happened. But when you all later went to go look for her body or to look for her, you had no luck finding her. So that's an open question. David Krauss, the gallerist, the son. Emily Krauss, youngest daughter, was a student of Dr. Thibault. Sarah Krauss, you have not met yet, but she's the oldest daughter. We have the butler, Andrew. You have not met Etienne Beauregard. He's a family friend who works at the fish market. He's keeping Albert's body on ice at the fish market. And then we have June Willoughby, who is an old money bee-bayer. She was apparently having an affair with Albert. That's what it seems like was the case. And according to some text messages that were observed. So that's kind of where the mystery is. Before we begin play, I do want to just point out a couple of things sort of mechanically that are interesting right now. One is the Fox Mulder move. That's really interesting right now mechanically because whenever you activate that move, you get a bonus on the next die roll that's equal to the number of void clues found for that mystery. And currently you all have 3 void clues on this one mystery. That's a lot. And so just bear in mind that as long as this mystery is active, Sarah, that's a +3 to a roll that you have access to. So what you got to do that
Mechanical question about that.
Sure, yeah.
I cannot use that bonus to theorize and then solve.
No, theorize never gets a bonus, yeah.
But could I call it after the fact, or would I say on this roll, I go and visit my mysterious Fox
It's the
Mulder
immediate
friend?
next roll, whatever the next roll is, that's what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's go to, let's talk about our Quincy move. So the key to that move, Brian, is that it's a medical bag that is never marked, basically. Like it's always available for advantage. So that's just a thing that's its major thing there. And of course that medical bag can be used for, obviously for doing like examinations, but it can also be used, maybe to convince someone you're a doctor to let you in someplace or or whatever, that kind of thing. In any case, there's lots of different ways that could go. Impress somebody, I suppose. And Violet, you were given an answering machine message about looking behind a painting, which you have not done yet. And you get a new message at the beginning of this session. So we will we'll talk about that. It might just be a further enhancement of that particular request. We'll see. In any case, that's kind of where we're at. Anybody have any questions or anything else they want to add before we start? Okie doke. In that case, let's begin our episode of Brindlewood Bay. So, always, we do a cozy vignette to kick off the session with. And no, I think I want to do Jim Rockford first. So, answering machine message, Violet. Beep. Miss Hyacinth, we are aware that you have not yet had a chance to look into the matter that we previously asked you to look into. We thought you might need a little assistance on that. And so, to be perfectly clear, Miss Hyacinth, the painting in question is a somewhat abstract piece called Persephone's Descent. You should look behind that painting whenever you find it. Beep. So that's what's going on there. And let's now go to cozy vignettes. So as our episode kicks off, we see our characters enjoying their life in Brindlewood Bay. These scenes should be light and breezy or warm and cozy. And for those of you who have a shadow in the garden marked, which is B and Ella May, you must also narrate how dark entities are subtly revealing themselves in the background of the scene. So think on that for a moment, and whoever wants to speak, go for it.
We open up to a familiar scene of Miss Beebaum filling out thank you cards at her writing desk, looking out across the bay, and suddenly the ink pot tips over and floods the note. She hurriedly bustles away to clean this up, but we see the ink spot on her writing desk start to move and form tentacles.
Nice, thank you.
We've got Ella May in her little gallery selling some work to a tourist, and the tourist does that thing that people do when they buy art. They want the thing to match the couch, so they ask, do you have this face in another color? And I say, well, I do have to unload the kiln yet this morning. There's a piece in there that might suit your needs, and I open up the kiln, and the vase that I'm reaching for, almost inexplicably, the glaze looks very much like a severed fish head with oily drips rolling down out of it.
Thank you.
Maybe Violet is still, we hear the sound of one of those old computer adapters trying to connect to the internet as she tries to look up Persephone's Descent. So we just hear the ee scream.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Well, it's the daytime. It is the day following the evening you spent on the Regal Lady with the very, very lovely Krauses. I want to sort of point out that the way that you clear conditions, if you need to, or if you feel the need to, is through a move called the Cozy Move, which means you and one other Maven are having a scene where one of you is doing your cozy activity. And, but otherwise, that's something you can do in the day or whenever you wish. But otherwise, you can just continue your investigation as you see fit. I'm going to go around the table and find out what everyone's interested in doing, and then we will figure out the scenes. So, B, what do you think?
I'm very interested in touching base with the eldest sister. So perhaps through some social gossip or things like that, find out where she might be, if she's on shore or staying with the family. And I don't want to go out back to the boat, but find out some more information about her, I think.
Yeah, sounds good. What about you, Violet?
I was thinking I would do some research on the painting, but it'd be maybe even funnier if I couldn't get the internet to work and had to go to the library in order to do it, to put tabs on my nefarious friend.
Indeed. Okay, LMA.
I want to go look at that body to the fishmongers.
Nice. Why don't we pick up with, let's pick up with the fishmonger. The fish market it's kind of one of those, it's a little bit like Pike Place in Seattle. It's like a tourist attraction, right? It's not just a place for buying fish. And I think I want to ask a question. Now, this is of everybody, but even though only LMA is on the scene, what here reminds you why you love the fish market? Or what about this place makes you hate coming down here? Your choice.
B hates coming down to the fish market because of the seagulls, just the constant screeching nails on a chalkboard to her personally.
Violet hates to go down there specifically when the tourists are out, because then she gets charged the tourist prices.
LMA, I love coming to this market. Part of it is the coffee shop serves things in my mugs. It's not so much my mugs, though, but it's the pleasure I get whenever I see one of the mugs that my son made before he went away to college.
Nice. So you're at the fish market, and this is one of those places where the fishmongers are kind of putting on a performance for the tourists. They like chuck great big giant fish to one another, and they catch them and they do all this stuff, right? And you might even know Etienne Beauregard by reputation, even if you've maybe never met him in person. Etienne, who is this apparent family friend of the Krauses, such a close friend, he was willing to store Albert's body in the cold storage. Etienne is there entertaining a group of tourists, and he does so in a way whereby he has this very, very bad affected French accent, and he is sort of like, les poissons, that whole kind of thing, right? And and he's sort of like does little romantic gestures from the fish he's holding to like some tourist, like, don't you want to give her a kiss, that kind of thing, right? And that's sort of his deal, right? What's your approach here, LMA? You going in to talk to him? You gonna try to sneak around back to look at the body? What do you think?
Sounds like we know each other at least a little bit, right?
Possibly, yeah. I think it's okay if you do. Yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna, kind of linger over the shoulders of the tourists, watching for a moment and play into it a little bit and be like, "Oh, Etienne, you're so good. Well, you've always got the best fish." The accent reveals a little bit of Louisiana roots more than truly French, but keep working on it. You'll get there one day.
I think once the crowd sort of disperses, he says, LMA, what can I do for you?
Do that. Look, make sure nobody's listening. We need to talk. You know how I've got a thing for murders and medical things, and I hear you're storing that body of that poor deceased Mr. Albert, and I'd take a peek.
Oh, very good. I think this is probably, it's probably the day move more than the information move. Just, can you get Etienne to take you back there? The day move is not nearly as rough as the night move. So we'll talk about the day move real quick, which says, when you do something risky, Name what you're afraid will happen if you fail, and then roll with, I think, presence.
Obviously that he doesn't let me at the body, but then he also moves the body somewhere else.
All right, go ahead and roll with presence. Let's see what you get.
8.
Says on a 7 to 9, I will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. If you go through with it, I describe what it looks like. So we'll come back to that. Let's go over to Violet and the library. So June is there. She's working kind of an afternoon shift and a volunteer shift, and she's sort of, helping people with their books and things, and when you come in, she sees you, and she's wearing like a very she's very cardigan focused sartorial choices as well, but hers are a little bit more tailored. They're a little bit nicer. They're a little bit more, they're a little more J. Crew than, Value Mart, right? This sort of thing. So, and she sees you and she says, "Oh, Violet, you're back again. This is just you're spending just as much time here at the library as you do at the booksellers, it seems."
Well, I need to get on the line.
On the line. Do you mean the information superhighway?
I do. I need to be on that highway.
Sure, I'll get you set up. Come on. And she goes and takes you to a bank of computers, right, where you can get on there. And she's sort of doing the clicking and the login and stuff. And she says, "Now listen, just remember, don't look up anything untoward."
I would never do that. The government is always watching.
That wouldn't be very Brindlewood Bay, would it?
Exactly, that too.
And she's like, "All right, enjoy yourself." And she goes and back to help people. So what do you do?
Yeah, I want to attempt to look up the Persephone descending, was it?
Persephone's Descent, yeah.
Yeah.
Persephone's Descent, no problem. You can find it. You look it up. It was an abstract piece painted by an artist. It's the only thing he painted that of note. The artist's name is, I shouldn't think of the artist's name. We'll call the artist, we'll say it's a woman, Millicent Andrews. And it's the only thing Millicent Andrews, wait, is that important?
That's a very real artist.
Oh, is it really? Oh.
She was a jeweler who lived in Taos.
Oh, that's kind of weird. Then maybe I'll change it. I guess that name is just swimming around in the back of my head for some reason. We'll go with Millicent Andrews. And Millicent Andrews, this was the only painting that Millicent Andrews is noteworthy for. She otherwise did not have a distinct noteworthy artistic career. She's long dead. And it's a very strange abstract piece of it's mostly just kind of shapes, vague brush strokes that look like a woman's form, split between a sort of a white background and then a black background, like two halves, and steps going down into the black background, and then a little red circle kind of hovering in the air, which is supposed to be a pomegranate. And that's sort of that's what you can find out just sort of in a basic way.
I go onto the dark web.
All right, what specifically are you trying to find out? Where's it at?
Yeah, where's it at? I'll type in buy the painting or something.
Oh, got it. Yeah, okay. I'll just give that for free. It was purchased by a gallerist in Boston. That's what you know. Boston's nearby.
Interesting.
But there's no specifics, just a gallerist in Boston purchased it.
I want to pretend I have maybe I have my reading glasses on, and maybe I act like it's causing some glare, and I manipulate the monitor such that the librarian, I can't remember her name, even though we just said it,
June.
June, yeah, sees it and sees if it like provokes any kind of reaction in her or anything.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I like that. Do the information move. Yeah, I feel like that's getting into terms. Do it with reason, I think.
Hopefully the dice are better this time. Ooh, 10 plus 1, 11.
Nice. You'll get your clue. We'll come back to that. And B. You can call over to the Regal Lady and find out that Ms. Krause is currently shopping. So if you might be able to go find her the little shopping boardwalk, shopping avenue in Brindlewood Bay.
I think that B is very well known in this particular corridor. I have many outfits for many different functions, and I'm always looking for something new, something different. So I might just take my handbag and do a little shopping myself and see if I can run into Sarah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm not interested in making you try to find Sarah, so we'll just say you do. I think you'll find her. She'll stand out because she looks a little dowdy, if I'm being honest, and she's like clearly grief-stricken. Like, you know, she keeps wiping a tear from her eye as she's going through rows of black like jackets and skirts. What do you do?
Are you all right, my dear?
Says,
just from over her shoulder.
Oh, well, I just I'm looking for, you know, funereal wear.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me help you. And then I start bustling and I'm waving at a sales lady.
Good. I like it. I do want to point out here, because we didn't really do it, and I actually can't remember what the rule is, even though I wrote the game. You're allowed to pick new end of session questions if you wish, if you want to have new ones, or if you want to do the same. So you can keep them the same as well. But, yeah, so she's very like, she's like, oh, yeah, well, I just, you know, she's like, this all just happening so suddenly. I'm not even from here.
No. Oh. Wait, are you Allison's daughter, Sarah? Did I get her name right this time?
You did. Says, oh, do you know my mom? Do you know where she is?
Well, no, funnily enough, I did make the giant trek out to the boat and to say hello. We've attended many functions together. I'm B Balm.
Oh, you're one of the ladies who was at the Regal Lady last night. I missed you. Yeah, I'm Sarah Krause. So you know what happened to my father.
It's just heartbreaking. I can't even imagine what you're going through here. The last thing you need to do is pick out a new pair of slacks, let these ladies handle you, and believe me, it is all my treat. There is nothing you can do here. Your money's no good.
I like it. We'll leave it there for now. So let's cut back over to Ella May. So Ella May, you got what, a 7 to 9, right?
Yeah, at an 8.
Yeah. And I need to remind myself what the move says. Oh yeah, how you're vulnerable. So Etienne is he's a little older gentleman. He's maybe not quite as old as you three, but he's certainly middle-aged, and he's very handsome, very square-jawed, very like silver-haired, right? I don't think he knows you're a lesbian, or at least that you've been in a relationship with a woman most recently, but this is how you're going to be vulnerable. he is actually going to kind of he might like kind of try to ask you on a date. If you want to deal with that, we keep the scene going. Otherwise, you can say, you know what, never mind, that's it.
Vulnerabilities in Brindlewood Bay are a little different than vulnerabilities in between.
They're very different. Yeah.
Ask me on a date. Oh no! Quick, check a mask. Yeah, we'll take the vulnerability. Let's go with it.
So he says, well, Ella May, that's a pretty touchy subject. I mean, I'd be happy to tell you everything I know over a cup of coffee.
Well, that sounds lovely, but maybe we could have the coffee in the cold storage room where it would keep our fingers warm while we chat over.
You really want to see Albert's body, don't you?
I do. I'm, then I've got my little medical bag. You know me, and
he's like, does Sheriff Dalrymple know about this?
Is it better if he does or if he doesn't?
It's better if he doesn't.
Then my lips are sealed.
He's like, okay, come on. And I'm on a break, so I'll come with you. And he takes you, through the fish market. You right. Narrowly dodge a, snapper flying across, right? And you go back to the cold storage.
We gotta pick up our coffee first. So we pick up our coffee.
No. We're skipping coffee.
Okay.
He takes you back there, and as advertised previously, there are shelves of cod and haddock and other fish, and the body is wrapped in a cloth and is slotted right there on the shelf in between the fish. He says, all right, well, do what you got to do. Maybe I'll come back in like 20 minutes.
Sure, but maybe help me get the body down first.
Sure. And he goes and he helps you, and we'll lift it down and set it down. And he'll say, all right, I have a sandwich that I brought for lunch. I'll eat it outside and watch so that nobody comes in.
Thank you. You are too kind, Etienne.
He says, I'm going to take you up on that coffee date, though.
Absolutely. It sounds terrific. It'll warm us both up.
Indeed. And also, then what?
Unwrap this thing and try to determine what I can, like sort of a cause of death. Did he really drown? Was he drowned after he was strangled with a necktie or something? I don't know.
Yeah, sounds good to me. And are you using your medical bag?
Sure. It seems quite useful to this.
Yeah, I would say so. I think your shaken condition will just balance it out. So just roll regularly with reason, I think.
Got it. All right. 7.
Awesome. We'll come back to that. And so, Violet, you got a 10, right? June you'll catch her eye, and she'll go over to you, and she'll say, oh, I recognize that.
Well, where have you seen it before?
She says, oh, a friend of mine, his son has a little gallery, and I remember seeing this piece. It's very striking, isn't it?
Yes, and I regurgitate what the little section said. It is like the red is supposed to be a pomegranate.
The top 3 lines from Wikipedia.
Exactly. She says, and then she kind of sits down next to you, and she says, it's really funny that it's kind of a funny coincidence that you should be looking at that painting, because, well, that friend of mine, you remember last night when I said that I had sort of a gentleman caller that I was thinking about ending it with.
How could I forget that juicy tidbit?
Well, I've heard a rumor that it may have been ended already.
And I give her a meaningful look.
She's like, well, let's just say that there's a lot of stuff going on in that family. And, well, this man who I never should have been involved with in the first place, I mean, the scandal. If anyone found out, let's just say that he had a lot of enemies. And I think some of those enemies were in his house. And I think that one of them may have killed him.
Are you afraid for yourself, dear?
Well, no, I don't think anyone really knows what he and I were doing, but let's just say that, well, okay. So this man, he was in a lot of financial trouble that he didn't want his family to know about. For example, he and I were meeting for coffee, and we were approached by a rather scary looking individual who was demanding that he repay some money that he owed. And this was a bit of a shock to me because, well, this man was known to be quite wealthy and should have plenty of money to cover all of his debts. But anyway, I don't know. Can you believe me? Someone like me getting involved in something like this?
We all go a little mad from time to time. It'll make, in 10 years' time, the perfect memoir, I can assure you.
She's like, yeah, maybe. Well, happy researching. And she gets up and she goes back to her customers. There's your clue, though. Albert owed someone a lot of money.
I don't think it'll get me anywhere, but I type in Albert's name and then enemies.
To see what that Google search does. Oh, here we go. Mystery solved. Very good. So B, I think you're kind of going through funereal blacks with Sarah Krause, and that's all going well. I'll give you a minute.
Okay, I think I'm fine now.
You're going through funereal blacks with Sarah, and you've definitely got her. You certainly have earned her trust to a certain extent at this point. So what do you do then?
I wanted to lure her into a point where she felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that in her emotional state, some nosy questions about her family might just get honest answers off a reflex. Because she seems genuinely sad. So
the only one who does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I like that. What do you ask? Just some general questions about the family or something specific?
I think I would steer a conversation because I have met most of her family in some state or another in the last 24 hours. And I might just lean in and say, dear, I can tell how hard this is for you. And I think you might be taking this the hardest of anyone else in your family, and kind of lead it into what she knows of who had a fight with whom slowly, to see if I can pry loose some David was threatening to push his father off the boat, that kind of conversation.
That's good. Do the information move with presence.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mr. Mulder cannot help me with this, really.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
There's
set
no
that.
Conspiracy I can think of.
Well, so the way that move works is you just have to show us a scene of you, like, meeting with your secret contact. We never see them, and we don't role play the scene. You just have to describe what it looks like when you meet them in a secret place, And that can even be in flashback if you want to invoke it right now. And then you get the bonus. So if we read the move specifically, it says, someone connected to the dark conspiracy is helping you behind the scenes. Tell the keeper that the thresholds for each layer are reduced by 1, so that's important to know. And also, once per mystery, you can have a secret meeting with this informant who is always shrouded in darkness and unidentifiable. You need only describe what the scene looks like, the location, the physical environment, how the mysterious person arrives, etc. And then the actual conversation is not seen. That's off screen.
Okay, so previously, at a fundraiser that both Allison and I were at, my shadowy contact might be behind a curtain or perhaps a waiter or a faceless person in the crowd, and then they might have dropped some insinuating comments about the family or the state of the family or money or any number of other juicy tidbits that I might have gleaned from that conversation.
Indeed, and that's good. And I think that they also are, that's good, I like it. So you have some sort of hidden help on this, right? I like that a lot. You can take the roll with +3 plus presence, so it's a lot.
I really want to know what she knows, although my presence is +0, so 9, 10, 11, I got a 12.
12, very good. Let's read the move because 12 is a good result. On a, I keep saying the information move, it's the meddling move in this game. The meddling move.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I am 100% meddling with this poor little heartbroken girl in a clothing shop.
On the meddling move, when you search for a clue, conduct research, etc., roll on a 12 plus. So on a hit, you find your clue. And then on a 12 plus, you also find a void clue, or you learn something about the dark conspiracy in Brindlewood Bay, my choice. And so, yeah, so you're having this conversation with Sarah. And we'll come back to that. I like kind of where this is going. I want to come back to it then. So, LMA, you got a 7. I think your complication is going to be pretty straightforward here in finding your clue on the meddling move. I'm just going to say that because you were in the freezer for so long looking at the body, I'm just going to give you a condition, chilled to the bone. This is right now it's a literal condition, but later on it's more of a figurative condition, right? But in any case, you have chilled to the bone. And you do find a clue, however. So tell me what you're doing with the body. I want to know how you're using your tools, what this looks like.
All right. I was realizing, looking at notes, that they had an injury to the head. Is what we said before, not drowned. Right.
That's what Sheriff Dalrymple said. Yeah.
Yeah. Gonna pull out the old magnifying glass and look for, bruise marks anywhere that are not on the head. Do the kind of roll the body on the side, check see if any water pours out of the lungs, like were they dead before they went in the water or did they inhale water? Check under the fingernails for hair, skin, stuff like that, paint chips.
I love it. It's great. So you're kind of looking through the body and doing these things, and there's really nothing, I wouldn't say there's anything like really unusual about the body that does not conform to what Sheriff Dalrymple told you. However, as you're poking around, you do find inside the coat pocket, a little waterlogged, but mostly legible, what appears to be a stack of love letters from a young military service member. They're dated in recent months. A young military service member, a man, and they the recipient of the letter is always just identified by the capital letter A. It's also very unclear what the gender of the recipient is. But that's what you find in the coat pocket.
And do these go back months, years?
I mean, it seems like the affair or this association is fairly old. These particular letters are only in the recent months.
All right. And is that a clue?
That is a clue. That is your clue. Capital C clue. Let's go back over to Violet. Violet, what do you do after the library once you're done with your research?
Yeah, I have an idea. One of my end of session things is, did you behave like a woman half your age? So I like the idea of hitching a ride to Boston.
You're just like, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I just walk out and put out a thumb.
Very good, very good. So that's what you're doing for the rest of the day.
and I also send a really long via addiction on my phone text to everybody else as to what I'm doing that becomes like vaguely erotic as I'm thinking on as I'm thinking, because I'm going to Boston, stuff like that, with the different address. So it probably ends up being a garbled mess and a really long paragraph text message, but I let them know where I'm going.
I love it. That's good. I think a trucker drops you off in downtown Boston. And you get out of the and you have to walk the next couple blocks to get to David's gallery.
I tell Buck that he has sick flames on his truck.
Indeed. So you're at the David Krause Gallery, that's what it's called. And of course, David's not there because we know David's back in Brindlewood Bay, but I think that there's a young docent who meets you at the front, and she says, "Oh, hello, ma'am, can I help you?"
Yes, I'm here as a private client to view the Persephone falling piece.
She says, "You mean Persephone's Descent by Millicent Andrews?"
And I take a quick look at my phone, like scrolling through importantly, and I'm like, yes.
She says, "Sure, I'd be happy to show it to you." And she says, "This way." And as she's taking you through the gallery to the painting, she says, "Of course, Persephone's Descent is the only painting that Millicent Andrews was known to have painted that's of note. She didn't really have a very extensive body of work. What's fascinating about this piece is that she was in a state of full-blown madness when she painted it. By all accounts, she claims that she herself was a reincarnation of the goddess Persephone, and that she had descended into the underworld, and that the painting is a self-portrait." And she's showing you the painting, and it is quite striking, actually. It's so striking, I'm going to give you a condition called the descent. She says, "I'll let you sit with the painting for a moment. Let me know if you need any help." And she goes and leaves you there. And it's just that scene with you standing for the painting, no one around. You know, it's very spotlight illuminated, right? As you ponder it. We'll come back to that. Sarah says, "Well, of course, my family are, every one of them, they're all just complete vultures. Even Andrew, our butler, is completely unfazed by my father's death. I'm the only one who seems to care, actually."
Oh, my dear, that's just awful. How can, Andrew's the help. He should be very empathetic to you and give you anything you need.
Oh, he's a ghoul. The only person he cares about is my mother. That's always been the case. I think he's in love with her, frankly. He's kind of a strange duck, too. he sometimes goes on and on about the ocean and things he's seen, and it's a little weird. But anyway, well, I have to tell you, it's, everyone's saying, oh, my father got drunk and fell overboard, but I just don't buy it. I mean, my father was practically a professional drunk. I just can't imagine someone with his level of experience would fall off the yacht,
I personally have seen him put away 7 sidecars and not show even an ounce of stuttering. I don't believe it either. It's so, it's tragic, obviously. I cannot
If you want to know the
give you
truth, I think he killed himself.
No,
I
that
do.
can't possibly be true. Why, my dear? Why?
She goes into her purse and she pulls out a diary. She says, I have my father's diary, and look at this. She flips through the pages, and one of the last entries, underlined, someone has written, presumably Albert, I just can't take it anymore. And that's your clue. The context of what he can't take anymore seems to be just like the haranguing of his family, right?
The cacophony of needy people that I too know so well.
Yeah, indeed. But that's your clue, though. I also owe you either a void clue or a bit about the dark conspiracy. She says, are you from here?
Not originally. East Coast.
She's like, oh, well, good for you then. My family, we have roots that go way, way, way back in Brindlewood Bay. That's why we summer here, because of that connection. It's not because there's anything particularly exciting about this town, no offense. No, the Krauses, we go way back, actually. Did you know that Brindlewood Bay used to be a whaling town?
I think I read something about that in the brochure.
Well, so my father likes to tell this story about, in the summer of 1877, the crew of a whaler, the Deep Reaver, they set out from Brindlewood Bay, and I guess they came back with the strangest whale anyone had ever seen. That's how the story goes anyway. According to my father, this whale had tentacle-like legs and rows of oily black eyes, if you can even imagine such a thing. Anyway, they sold its parts all over the world, and that money is what was used to build up Brindlewood Bay into what it is today. And do you know whose ancestor was aboard the ship?
My dear, it wasn't yours, was it?
It was. There was a Krause aboard the Deep Reaver. And so, like so many of the old Brindlewood Bay families, we have ancestors who were on the Deep Reaver. But the story about the strange whale, that's just very silly, right?
Well, these things,
it's like the Loch Ness Monster.
They do tend to get exaggerated, especially if you do get to be my age, dear. You find that stories, the more fantastical they are, the more sensational, the better they are to tell.
She's like, yeah, I suppose. She says, well, thank you so much for chatting with me, Ms. Baum. This has been a balm for my soul.
I do try, my dear. Well, and if you need any help is there a funeral planned? Having not talked to your mother, I don't know where to pay my respects.
We're having a heck of a time even getting Dad's body back. The sheriff insists on keeping it here until they can determine that there was no foul play. It's very, very inconvenient.
It does seem just completely unfair. Perhaps if I could... Now, I wouldn't ask typically, but if I could convince the sheriff, I've dealings with him in the town, if I could convince him that your father did pass away of his own hand, perhaps then the funeral would be easier to schedule. Could I perhaps borrow that diary?
She's like, oh, yeah, certainly, here. And she gives it to you.
Delightful. I'll do what I can.
And we'll cut the scene there. And so that little bit about the history of Brindlewood Bay, that's not a void clue. That's just history of Brindlewood Bay. So in 1877, the crew of the Deep Reaver brought back a strange ass whale and they sold its parts all over the world. And that's how the town was founded into what it is today. And yeah, that's great. Where did we leave Ella May? So Ella May, you're done in the cold storage. And Etienne says, so did you find what you were looking for?
Oh, yes and no, yes and no. It just seems fishy.
He's like, very good, very good. I mean, look, what was this supposed to do? The bodies, the Krauses are a family friend, or the Krauses are, I'm a friend of theirs. And, I don't like that we had to stick Albert in the freezer with fish, but we don't have a morgue because the town council keeps voting down things like that, despite how many murders we have in this town. Anyway, well, so how about that coffee?
Yeah, let's go get a little coffee. I saw they had the mugs out that my son made again today, and those always tickle me pink.
I was like, all right, I'm buying. Come on.
Terrific.
Violet, so you're at the museum. You're supposed to be looking behind this painting. Are you gonna try? What are you doing?
Yeah, if there's a way to do that, yeah.
I mean, I suppose you can try to just lift it off the wall and see what happens.
It's not hinged. How strange. Yeah, however I can, I'll try to take a peek.
Yeah, I think this is the day move, because you should not be doing this. So what are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve or fail?
Either the woman will come in and think I'm burgling it, or it's alarmed.
Yeah, that sounds good. Roll with
canvas.
Yeah, roll with composure. See how this goes. It might even be vitality if it's a big painting. I think it's a big painting. Yeah, let's do vitality because it's kind of bigger. Yeah. And let me take a look at your conditions as well. What's you have your second field highlighted. Can you unhighlight it because I can't read it?
It's the descent.
Oh, that's right. No, you're fine. You can just roll regular vitality. Go for it.
Oh, that's good because I got a 7 barely.
Okay. You're going to find what you're trying to find, but you're also going to get arrested. Unless you want to mark the crown of the Queen of the Void to avoid being arrested.
I kind of want to be arrested.
Very good. So the painting is big. I think it's as tall as you. It's very big. So what do you do? Describe it.
Does it have a really big frame?
No, it's not framed. It's just like a box canvas.
Okay. Then I think it's even more comical looking. I probably L-shape my hands and then lift it up a little bit at a time and then get my fingers underneath it and then pull it away and slowly try to lower it with just the tips of my fingers, in a balancing act that if somebody was watching the camera would be she's gonna break it.
On the back of the canvas, taped to the frame, is an ornate black key. It appears to be made of onyx. The voice said you'd know what to do.
With the key?
Yeah, I think you're just intended to take the key.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll take it for sure.
You manage to pocket the key, and then you hear, "What are you doing?" And the docent is there. There's a security person. They detain you, and Boston PD are called, and you are taken down to the station. What do you do upon getting down to the station? You get a free phone call.
Well, first of all, I keep insisting that people in Boston are very weird about how paintings are inspected, because every inch of it ought to be inspected, and everybody knows that. And then I'll call, oh geez, which one would I call? I would call LMA, because a doctor is very respectable and they might be impressed that I'm calling one as a friend.
I think LMA was a nurse. Were you a nurse? You were a doctor.
I was going to say, you do know I was just a nurse, right?
Yeah.
But I say
Not
that's
a
a doctor on the phone.
You have a doctor's bag.
But you call LMA. Great. So LMA, you get a call on your cell phone in the middle of your date with Etienne. And do you pick it up?
You have a collect call from.
I actually don't know enough. Does the caller ID say like Boston Police Department?
Yeah, I think it says like Boston Police Station precinct number 453 or whatever, right?
I like it. This could be a clue. I'll answer, assuming that Sheriff Dalrymple has made some connections and had somebody call me.
So okay, well,
hello. Yes, hello. I'm so eager to hear from the Boston Police Department.
I'm put up in 4 corners. The pigs got me.
Violet, is that you?
Yes, of course it's me. Who else would? Well, I probably wouldn't do this under normal circumstances either, but I, in pursuing the lead, have inadvertently landed the slammer.
Do you need bail, or are they treating you well? Have you had a meal?
Well, I've only been here about 10 minutes, but I don't expect that filet mignon is on the menu.
An out of character question: do any of us have cars?
Yeah, I mean, you can. Yeah, we don't have to really like RP out you getting Violet out of jail. I think it's enough if you just go down and pick her up, right?
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we may as well make it a scene in the sense of I'll get a hold of B and we'll get along, but we'll bring sandwiches. I'm sure you'll be famished by the time we get you.
Cucumber, yeah. But yeah, and I keep reiterating, even though probably no one is paying attention to the phone call, I keep saying loudly that this is my doctor.
Nice. And
my doctor is going to come and get me.
I'm so sorry, Etienne. This is like just gotta take this. Give me a moment.
And Etienne says, you could do whatever you need to do. If you need to go help your friend, it's perfectly fine. And then he'll say, LMA, before you go, I just want you to know that I think you're the catch of the day.
Oh,
I'd like you to have the condition catch of the day.
Oh, all right. With shaken, chilled to the bone, and catch of the day, I'm like 1 olive short of being a martini.
I love it. So let's pick up with, I mean, I think we're kind of wrapping up this sort of mystery, basically. How many clues do we have right now? We got 9. That's lots to start theorizing. Why don't we take a quick break? Let's take like 5 minutes. We'll come back and get this mystery solved, okay? Okay, we're back. Violet, you're going to have a condition called I don't even think what to call it. Basically, it's going to be related to the fact that you were arrested for like picking up this art off the wall. Yeah, I'm gonna give you the condition. Yeah, like jailbird. I'm gonna give you the condition jailbird. You're not in jail, obviously, but it's just something that's gonna like follow you around, probably, maybe for a bit. And I don't think you can shake this until I say you can shake it. So
Yeah, I'm sure the residents of Brindlewood Bay will not let me forget.
no.
We need a moment where you meet my pet cockatiel, or pet African gray parrot, Renfield, so that he can harangue you.
I love it.
I had an idea on break, by the way, of kind of a comic moment to keep Etienne on the line a little bit longer, and basically asked to borrow the keys to his fish truck to go pick up Violet.
To go pick up Violet. Yeah, it's good. I love it. So are we interested in theorizing at this point? I'll read the move off. It says, when the Mavens have an open, freewheeling discussion about the solution to a mystery based on the clues they have uncovered and reach a consensus, roll plus the number of clues incorporated into the theory or otherwise explained away minus the mystery's complexity. So if you can explain away or incorporate all the clues you have so far, you'd be at +3, which is a pretty good roll. And so, yeah, what do we think?
Gathering in our bookstore to theorize?
Wherever you wish. Yeah. I mean, it could be out of character theorize and then figure it out in character.
Gotcha.
It's up to you.
If you both come pick me up, we could be theorizing in the fish.
On the drive back.
On the drive back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I love it. So what do we think? I mean, does anybody have a theory about who did it? And also, Allison's not showed up. We don't know where Allison is. So
I'm going to be peeling some shrimp and kind of dipping them in sauce while we're on the car ride back. Some gold shrimp.
Yes, Ella, that's a smell. So, ladies, do we? And I'm rolling down the window. I guess in a fish truck it's manual, so I'm just taking my time with it. I hate to say this, I truly do, because she's been a very dear friend, but I think, well, friend might be overstating it. I think Allison killed her husband. And then if we want to go from there to
let's go
out
from there.
Of context.
Yeah, let's go there. I mean, let's talk. You got 9 clues here. What do you think?
Love letters to A could be Albert or Allison.
Right.
Depending on how we flip that.
Or Andrew, the butler.
Ah, yes.
Ooh, I like that. Maybe she's in love with the butler and he's broke and cheating on her. And Andrew needs some money as well, right? Isn't he going under?
So they all killed him.
Oh yeah, we got a what you would call it? Murder on the Orient Express moment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's review the clues. Albert might have been having an affair with June Willoughby. It sounds like they were, according to June. Emily was purchasing books on estate planning and probate disputes. There's a wristwatch found on the deck of the yacht that showed a time 3 hours ahead. There was a rug caked in blood found on the deck of the yacht as well. David has been cut off by his father because he was getting a little extravagant with the gallery purchases. There was an argument between Sarah and David. The subject is unclear. Albert owed someone a lot of money. And there were love letters from a young male service member to an A. Those were found on Albert's body. And Albert's diary has a note that just says, "I just can't take it anymore." Now that could be something as extreme as indicating suicide, or it could just be someone saying, "I just can't take it anymore," right? So Sarah might have thrown the suicide idea out there just to throw you off the scent, right? So who knows? But anyway, those are the clues.
Young male service member is a member of the Coast Guard or the Navy, and the wristwatch is actually his. The reason it's 3 hours ahead is that's where his boat was last.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Doing work.
Maybe it's one of those kinds of like sportsman's watches too, you know.
Yeah, waterproof kind of thing. And then rug caked with blood is actually the service member's blood.
Okay, explain that.
Yeah,
this service member came to the yacht to confront whoever his lover is, the one he's been writing the letters to. And he got murdered as well. His body has not yet been found. So he was killed. And then from there, I'm not sure who his partner is yet.
Oh, all right. So if that's the case, then the service member was having an affair with Albert. All right. And came to the boat in front of his whole family to declare his love and to try and whisk him away from this life that is just sucking both his money and his joy. And Allison pushes the service member, or somehow he also ends up falling off the boat, perhaps being hit and struck and thrown over. And then there's a struggle, and then Albert goes over.
Allison's pretty efficient at throwing people over the overboard.
No, she was in a relationship with the butler, and they were doing it together. I
The
think
butler
was
helped. Okay, good.
I mean, the butler always did it, right?
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, let's okay. So this is an interesting,
Clues, right?
this is an interesting theory. Fraser or Brian, do you have any other thoughts?
Need to wrap in other clues. So was Emily aware that, for the looking at her purchase of estate planning and probate disputes, was she was buying those after the murder, I guess, right?
Yeah, she might have just been
Yeah.
buying them because she knows there's going to be a probate dispute, right?
Yeah.
Could very easily be a red herring. She doesn't know her father is in financial trouble. So she might be planning to fight her greedy brother and sad sack sister for her share of the fortune. I don't know if that's
And
necessary.
she is the youngest too, so it makes sense that she'd be gearing up for the battle. She'd be ostensibly getting the least.
All right, but then I don't understand June Willoughby. Was Albert having affairs with both June Willoughby and the
Well,
survivor?
I like the idea that the emotional intimacy was actually just like something pretty wholesome, but
Yeah, it was very
June-
wholesome. There's no like
Yeah.
sex or anything. Yeah.
yeah, like they just like were really close
Affirming
friends.
text messages.
Exactly.
Is what you were in the
It was
chat.
an emotional affair, is what I mean. Yeah.
Okay.
She was the only one that he could talk to about the unnamed service member and who he actually was.
What if, I mean, as the keeper, I don't really have to say, but what if, but I will have to say, what if Albert just went like shopping with June and like they hung out and had like a very like platonic friendly relationship because Albert's secretly gay and he like kind of just has this friendship with June, but she misinterpreted the affection, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they had not yet reached third date status, and June was just anticipating.
Yeah.
Generally, when a man goes around buying you things and taking you out to nice restaurants, that means something.
Well, let's work through the clues then. So, okay, so that explains the Albert and June thing. We're saying that Emily was just as a sort of due diligence thing, purchasing books on estate planning and probate disputes, anticipating an issue. The wristwatch belonged to the Coast Guard person who maybe, or the sailor who was like maybe stationed somewhere, you know, where there's a time difference. The blood is just the struggle like that happened on the yacht that Andrew and Allison did. I don't think we've really sorted out David and the argument with Sarah and David as well, or the fact that Albert owed someone a lot of money, but the letters are definitely sorted out. And I think you've made a good case for 5 of these clues so far.
Maybe he couldn't take his kids asking him for money anymore. Like everybody was asking him for money, and Sarah asked him for money, but he had already given money to David, so he didn't give money to her.
But he didn't just give money to David and Sarah. He like took money from somebody else in order to give it to them.
Yeah, because he owed money, right? Yeah, so essentially he was just trying to like support his kids' lavish lifestyle and couldn't do it anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's intriguing. So that's almost kind of like a red herring though, because it sounds like Allison and Andrew killed them just out of jealousy.
How about the naval Coast Guard fellow was the one that Albert owed money to, that he was blackmailing him essentially. Albert invited him to the yacht.
Oh, that's an interesting angle. So it's not a declaration of love. It's more.
And Albert honestly planned to murder him, planned to
Oh.
murder the service member, stuck the love letters in his jacket. Then Allison and the butler Andrew, find him with dead body, rug. There's the confrontation of what's been going on here.
Oh, that's the part where you lose me. Like I can see. I think there's a strong case to be made that like the service member. Let's name that person. We'll name him Gregory. Gregory was invited to the
his
boat.
name should be Adam because they're all names.
Yeah, right, exactly. We'll say, so the service member Adam, let's say he was basically lured there because Albert intended to kill him, basically, right? Or maybe Allison and Andrew intended to kill him for the integrity of the family, and Albert responded badly to that, and that's why Albert ended up dead too.
I also like the idea that maybe Allison, as his wife, caught on to how little money actually was coming in, like one of her credit card purchases didn't go through, or the subscription to whatever, or the club membership. Something clued her to the fact that he wasn't wealthy any longer.
When the obvious motive that seems like we're circling around is, wouldn't they kill him for like the money? They made it look like an accident so that he would have an insurance policy.
Yeah, that's good.
And they'd get solvent again. Yeah.
So all the problems are solved basically. They get rid of the blackmailer and they collect insurance. And
which seems like a much stronger motive to kill him, especially as he died.
Was the whole family in on it then, or is it just Allison and the butler?
I like the idea that Emily was innocent all along or something.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only like sort of unspoiled or not unspoiled, but like not yet fully corrupted rich person. And so has like escaped with her life. It's like
I would make an argument that even though Sarah and David had that argument about money, that they were just two spoiled rich kids fighting about money. That's what they do. I don't think any of the kids were involved.
I like it when rich people are guilty.
You get one.
If Emily is the sole innocent person, as a fledgling writer, she's got her novel ready to roll.
Right, exactly. She'll use her privilege to be rich soon enough. Don't worry about it. Great. I love it. Okay, so let's recap. I feel like we're in a good place here. So essentially, what you're saying happened is that you're saying that Allison became aware of Albert being blackmailed by the sailor Adam, but knew that Albert would never do anything about it because Albert loved Adam, and so there's that part of it as well. But in any case,
perhaps discovering it as she discovered his financial difficulties.
Yeah, exactly.
Digging deeper.
Yeah. So anyway, she cooks up a plan with Andrew to murder Adam when he's on the yacht. And then that happens, but then Albert sort of gets involved and they see an opportunity to collect on some insurance, and so they just kill Albert too, because Albert's already like going to go to the police about the sailor, right, about Adam. And so that's sort of ultimately what kind of happened. Anything to do with, I mean, essentially all the fights, but the fight between Sarah and David and all the money issues are just, and also Albert like writing, I just can't take it anymore. That's just like further pressure on the family, right? That caused all this to sort of like blow up, right? I think it's a great theory. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think you have a +3 on the die roll. Whoever wants to roll it, go ahead.
Was that the I won't roll dice fingers?
Who hasn't rolled yet? Has everyone?
I've rolled dice today.
My last roll was pretty low, so we could try.
Go for it.
Ooh, that's a 6 on the dice +3.
So that's a 9. You can bump it up to a 10 if you all mark a crown.
What is the difference?
So on a 7 to 9 on Theorize, it's the correct solution, but I'll either add an unwelcome complication to the solution itself or present a complicated or dangerous opportunity to take down the culprit or save the day. If it's a 10 plus, you're just correct, and basically they bring them in. So,
well, this is technically our first grab on television, so it should be complicated.
okay, sounds good to me. So let's
honed our skills yet.
Let's talk about. So how do you make the accusation? Like, do you go to Sheriff Dalrymple, or do you like confront the family directly? Like, what happens here? We don't know where Allison is, so yeah, what do we do?
We could have the sheriff bring in and sweat the butler.
I really like the idea of us having like one of those conspiracy board things going on with all of that, and then bringing in the sheriff and like closing the door and locking it and making him sit through a presentation that we have.
Yarn between each of the thumbtacks. Mm-hmm.
We have freshly baked cupcakes, and so the sheriff is willing to stay because we keep offering cupcakes.
I love it. So let's have the scene be this. The sheriff says, well, you might as well all come out with me to go make the arrest. We'll at least get the butler if we can't find Mrs. Krause, and maybe he'll lead us to Mrs. Krause. Yeah, come along. I have to tell you, I'm very thankful for your help, even though you went against my express wishes. But at least now I think we've gotten down to the bottom of this, and it's going to look really, really great on my case clearing percentages. So thank you. And so with that, he will invite you all to take the little boat out to the Regal Lady, which you do. And when you get aboard, you actually you climb the ladder up to the yacht, and no one's around. But when you go start poking around, going down below decks, trying to figure out what's going on, one of you, I'll say Ella May, you walk past a cabin and you hear a woman, presumably Allison, threatening the butler. And if you peek inside, you see she has a gun on the butler. And she says, oh, trust me, this will be very, very easy. I just put the gun in your hand, tack on a little note to your chest that says you feel so guilty about what you did, and you did it for love because you loved me so much. And I get to go on being the most prominent event fundraiser on the Eastern Seaboard. And what do you do, LMA?
Am I isolated from everybody else at the moment?
You are, yeah.
This person's back to me?
Yes.
I feel like I want to bonk him on the head.
I think it's just the side of dusk to make it the night move.
Yeah.
So night move, when you do something risky, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve.
The poor butler gets shot and I get taken hostage.
Oh, nice. I have to tell you how it's worse than that. It's worse than that. The poor butler gets shot, you get shot, and Allison gets away. So if you are ready to move forward with that.
It's worse than that. Amanda Delacourt would never have let this happen.
Are you going to do Gold Crown Mysteries right now? You could.
Remind me game-wise quite what that does.
Yeah, it's a move. You can do it once per session. So you could do it right now. You can do it once per session. Once per session, you can say, this reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt. And then you all work out the name of the Gold Crown mystery and what happened, and then you get an automatic 12+ on your roll. So
I feel like it's the moment. What do you all think?
I think it would be wise.
Let's do that.
This
We don't
reminds
need to
me
be
of
sloppy. We're bumbling. It's our first mystery, but let's still like win the day.
no,
ladies.
actually, according to the canon, you've already solved some murder mysteries by the time we start. Like that, yeah, that's a thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But it's the start of a new season.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this reminds me of that time that Amanda Delacourt disarmed a criminal with just like a good solid purse thwop, and then bludgeoned them in the head as well with another swing, basically like causing the criminal to collapse and be bludgeoned unconscious with a good few purse thwaps.
No, I don't think that that's what happened. I think that was when she tried to hit them with the purse, but instead the butler had actually replaced the bullets. What, with blanks instead? What was it called?
What was it? That's a good. What was the name of that mystery, though?
Russian roulette.
Oh, all right. I was going to say knock 3 times, but you.
Especially if there's blanks in the gun.
Drawing a blank is.
That's pretty good. Drawing a blank.
Like,
that's good. Especially with the art.
Very on the nose, but so is Amanda Delacourt.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I like that too, because like if you were reading that book, you're like, why is this named this book? And then finally you get to that part and you're like, oh, I see.
Yep.
All right. So you do what you intended. And I will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive, describe what it looks like. Quite simply, you will be able to subdue Allison, and also Andrew will go peacefully. So that's your bonus. Go ahead and give me the scene.
All right. So there are blanks in the gun. We've established this, yes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Andrew might be a voracious reader of the Gold Crown mysteries as well. Or actually, so the way this would actually work is you can get a 12+ to the roll, or you can state a fact about the current situation, in which case the fact would be there's blanks in the gun, right? And in which case I don't need to roll. You can just subdue her because there's no danger. So just give me the scene.
All right. I still want the purse thwop in here. So I feel like I go with the purse thwop trying to knock the gun out of her hand, and the gun discharges. But Andrew was waiting to make his move because he knew there were blanks in there anyway. And he lunges forward and tackles Allison. Trying to picture what would be on board the ship here. That's poetic justice. Help me out. What would she be toppled into that has some poetic justice here?
Depending on the tone, it could be one of those life round, those floating rings. Yeah. And then it would.
I mean, it's very Gilligan's Island.
I mean, it's in a cabin, so she can't go overboard, right?
Right. Yeah.
Let's just say she falls over.
I meant that like it would fall on her and then be trapped in the
ring.
she's
caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Lighthearted works.
I love it. And Sheriff Dalrymple comes. He arrests her and Andrew, and that concludes Dad Overboard. The family is David, I think, as they're being hauled away. David says, I knew they did it. And there we have it. Let's take a quick break, like 3 minutes. We'll come back and we'll start the next mystery. Our next mystery is called, it's seasonally appropriate, it's called All Hallows Scream. Let's type that in. And there's no murder right away. In fact, you all are guests at a Halloween party being thrown at the fabulous Brindlewood Bay home of Abner Vidal, a retired filmmaker famous for gonzo B-grade pictures. So we see the three of you arriving at Abner Vidal's home. It's night. And Abner is greeting everyone at the front door. There's a line of people to, small line of people to get in. And he's greeting everyone at the front door, and he's wearing a King Tut costume, with the headdress and everything, all that business. As I paint the scene for everybody here, as you approach Abner's home, what ostentatious thing do you see outside that reminds you that Abner and his wife Coco, they don't fit in with Brindlewood Bay's stuffy upper crust? Also, tell me about your costume.
He is dressed as Elizabeth I. The whole bouffant, the collar, the regal waistline, and walking just so. And I notice on the grounds as we approach the house that what they seem to do is empty out the warehouse of all of the previous props from their movies. And there are two very dramatic, obvious vampire coffins and blood pouring from them in a festive fountain as we approach.
Festive blood font. I'm sure the neighbors are very pissed about that. Violet or LMA?
I think Violet is dressed as just like a scarecrow with like actual, at the only the ends of it, actual straw jetting out of each end. And the rest is probably just like some sort of painted on thing. Otherwise it would be very uncomfortable, but it actually comes out of like her neck and everything as well. And ostentatiously, I would like it if they have, whatchamacallit, so kind of like, I can't remember the word for it, like an aquarium with an actual shark in it.
Outside?
No, in the house, like in the bottom level or something.
Okay, yeah.
So
good.
like only the top part of it is showing or whatever, but it's deep down.
I love it. It's good.
Total James Bond villain stuff. I like it. I am dressed as a spider with the extra arms hanging off, so that as I move at the party, I'm rather awkward, like knocking crap over. And I feel like the part of how they don't fit in is that people have flamingos in their yards. What they have are these two oversized flamingos that are on the roof, and to Halloweenify them, they put jack-o'-lantern sort of helmets on the heads of these things with the big beak sticking out.
Very good. So, there's a few guests going in and you're behind them, and you get to the door where Abner is greeting everyone, and he's like, welcome. I'm so happy to see you all. Our resident crime-solving ladies here in Brindlewood Bay. Somebody should make a picture about you.
We're open to discuss rights.
Right. I am willing to play myself also.
He's like, well, sadly, I'm out of that game, but my business manager from LA, he came in for this party, so you never know. Maybe he's looking on to take on some new clients. Welcome, ma'am. What a striking historical period costume you have there, Ms. Baum, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. Most of the costume parties I go to are for charity.
He's like, oh, well, we may not be raising any money tonight, but we're going to raise a lot of hell.
Good show, young man.
And he's not much younger than you all, but yeah.
I still say it in that tone.
Good. You go inside, you do see the Shark Tank inside, and that's gotten a few guests' attention. Also, it's a very like the main central hall is it's this like Art Deco monstrosity, right, with big swooping, like kind of statues and lots of like dramatic angles, that kind of thing. And this whole first portion of the mystery, before it's even a mystery, is just getting to know the characters. And so this is sort of what you see at the bar. There's a room with off to the side, there's a little bar area. And at the bar, you see a woman wearing what appears to be like a vampiresque costume, kind of an Elvira sort of thing going on. And she's chatting up a man in a Phantom of the Opera costume with the half mask and everything. And then behind the bar is a man who is not dressed in a costume at all, unless his costume is businessman, because he's wearing just a suit and he's kind of making himself a drink. And we see Coco Vidal, who is Abner's wife and the lady of the house. She is wearing a Cleopatra costume to go with Abner's King Tut outfit, and she's just sort of flitting around, making sure everyone's taken care of. Violet, you see June Willoughby. She's here. She even mentioned this party last episode. She's there. She's wearing like a 1950s sock hop costume with a poodle skirt, and a little pink cardigan, right? And there's also a maid who seems to be kind of like just sort of really not really doing any work, just kind of like watching everyone. And her costume is, she has like one of those little cat ear headpiece. And then in the corner of the room, keeping to himself, is someone you'll recognize. It's Gordon Thune. He's the local banker. He's dressed up like a Frankenstein's monster, and he seems to be very uncomfortable. I'll note all these people down in a bit on the actual sheet, but I think I just want to kind of go around and find out what you're all doing at the party. B?
To be clear, it is a maid in a maid's outfit wearing cat ears?
No, it is the maid dressed up as a cat with cat ears.
Yes. Did not quite wrap my head around that one.
Yeah.
I would go to the bar.
Okay. So this man who's not in a costume, he's very handsome, head of silver hair, very piercing blue eyes, and he's oh wow, that's quite a getup you got there.
I always try to be a little extraordinary every day. Are you making enough for two?
Sure. By the way, my name's Marcus Greaves. I'm actually Abner's business manager from LA.
Oh, Miss Baum.
Oh.
And I just hold out my hand.
It's like, hello, Ms. Baum. This is a really charming little backwater you have here.
It has its dark and entertaining corners, I assure you.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm.
As he shakes you a drink. Ella May, what are you up to?
By the way, the people you described, is this the entirety of the party, or are there other sort of
yeah, until Dr. Thibault gets here next week for next session, but yeah. Right. Unless some other people show up later, but right now this is it. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go hang out and see more about this woman dressed as sort of the Elvira vampiress thing.
She's there with another man who's dressed as with a man who's dressed as a Phantom of the Opera. They're kind of laughing, and the woman, she kind of it's very Elvira, like it's kind of very skin tight black gown, plunging V-neck, and she's a little older, not as old as you all, but she's definitely like kind of showing them she's still got it, right? Kind of a black wig and fangs and red lips, and she's like, oh, hi.
Hello, your costume is just absolutely fabulous. I've always been a fan of kind of the sort of the more glamorous beings of the night, and will shake my little spider arms in appreciation.
And you look like something that would be crawling in the corner of my vampire's lair.
Exactly.
I'm Elena Visage.
And Elena, how do you know Coco and Abner?
She's like, oh, well, I actually used to be in a lot of Abner's pictures. I mean, I'm sure you've seen my work, right? I mean, Variety once said my performance in Devil Women from Planet X was the most acting they'd ever seen.
Devil Women from Planet X. Is that available on a platform I can watch? I would love to see this.
Oh, the streaming. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really into the technology, but I mean, I'm sure this town probably has a dusty old video store or something, or really, if you just ask Abner, he's got tapes of everything. I mean, that was the VHS era.
And those blood coffins are those film props from your prior movies?
Oh, yes. I remember them well. Vampire Women from the Sewers of Paris. A bit of a long title, if you're asking me, but it was one of my better known works. Interestingly, I was not a vampire woman from the Sewers of Paris in that one.
I'll try and engage with Mr. Phantom of the Opera also and see what he has.
Yeah, he's sort of like laughing, and he's already had a few, He's like, Sam Turlington. Sam Turlington, actually. This is a name that He's a local businessman. He's like, you're LMA Washington, right?
I am indeed. I am I haven't named my pottery studio. I'll come up with a name in a moment. I'm the owner of the pottery studio that provides those mugs to that coffee shop down.
Oh, yeah. That's a great little spot you got there. That's terrific. Yeah, Abner and I are actually, we're doing some deals right now, some real estate deals in town. It's going pretty well.
Acquiring new hotels for the tourists, beds and breakfasts?
Different things. We're kind of looking at, businesses, some of these little mom and pop shops have people who are kind of getting on in age and they want to retire and sell their spot, little bed and breakfasts, art studios, that sort of thing.
It's not the most lucrative, I think, but we really could use a morgue in this town. I've just, as people pass away, it seems
not good for business. No, the presence of a morgue in a town. I mean, that'll knock a star off your TripAdvisor. Violet, what are you up to right now?
Yeah.
I would like to talk to June, and I have a mechanical question. If I was to play into Jailbird, is it possible to get rid of Close Confidant by alienating June?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Because you can clear a condition if it kind of makes sense in the fiction. Yeah, you sort of.
That's what I'm going to angle for then.
Okay, so you see June, and she's like, Violet, I'm so happy to see you here.
Oh, you too. I've been looking for you everywhere.
Did you hear about Allison Krauss a few weeks ago, arrested for killing Albert?
And I fake tense up at the word arrested.
like, oh, sorry. I should have put a trigger warning on that. I know you've had some issues with the law lately.
Well, I did come as a straw man argument, June.
She's like, ha ha, so droll, so droll. So how are things, on the outside?
Oh, well, I find that some people aren't talking to me as much, even though it was a complete misunderstanding. I was taking a look at that art piece that you and I had looked at on the computer. I was inspecting it, was possibly going to use some nest egg money to buy it. And then they said that I can't be looking at it, even though they invited me to come look at it.
Well, dear, I don't think you're supposed to put your hands on the artwork and lift it off of the wall. I also heard that you resisted arrest, that you may have hit a security guard with your purse. It's just
erroneous on all counts.
Right. Well, it's been really great chatting with you, Violet. I'm going to go see what Beatrice is up to. I'm sure it's something very, very pretentious. And she sort of lets you go. You can take close confidant off. I think that's good.
With my, do you know what it's called in my picture with the thing that holds the cigarette?
It's just called a cigarette holder.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. I have a spliff in it instead, and I light up.
I'm sure the Vidals won't mind. Okay, well, so that's what kind of going on. So, Beatrice, anything else you've kind of touched base with this cat? What was his name? Marcus.
I was about to ask you the same
Marcus
thing.
Greaves.
Marcus Greaves. I will just chit chat and make eyes at him over our drinks, because he is by far the most interesting thing at this party.
I think Coco will come along in her Cleopatra outfit, and she comes along. She has like a tray of like champagne, or she's got a couple of champagne glasses, and she's like, how is everyone doing? Do you need anything, dear?
Coco, you're so sweet. Everything here is just divine.
Well, I know that we might be a little bit déclassé for the Brindlewood Bay set, but we try.
I'm here. I mean, there's nothing better than good word of mouth.
Maybe you could talk to that Gordon
decorating?
Thune. Oh yeah. She's like, well, yes, of course. I mean, I happen to have an eye for interior decor.
So much eye.
And she says, well, maybe you could go talk to Gordon, the banker over there. I don't think he's having very much fun. And you and him are sort of, old Brindlewood Bay.
Aren't you so sweet to think of me?
And I don't think she actually intended any offense. She just...
I've had one drink and now I take offense to everything.
Meanwhile, LMA, I think Elena Visage will say, so how do you know the Vidals?
That's a good question. Their son and my son were childhood playmates for a time before they had their falling out.
Oh, wow! Well. Let's not get too heavy here. We're all just trying to have some fun, right?
Oh no,
I didn't mean to pry. Let sleeping corpses lie.
Yes, what's just one more dead body in this town? It seems like they stack up so quickly.
I've heard that about this place. That's pretty wild. I think there's even like a podcast being made about it. Do you know what podcasts are? It's like the radio, but you could just listen
it's the radio,
whenever
but
you want.
The dial.
Yeah, you could just listen whenever.
Yeah, I've heard about those. I'm more of a written word woman myself.
And Sam Turlington says, I'm a podcast listener. There's a lot of podcasts I enjoy. There's some guys on there. They're saying the real stuff, the stuff that the mainstream news media doesn't want to tell you. Do your own research. That's what I say.
Goodness, sorry, I lost it. Something about do your own research, but I don't have it right now.
Fair enough. So the party's going on and happening. Violet, anything else you want to do before or after June leaves you?
I think I want to ask the maid if she would like to smoke up and show me the aquarium.
So you're actually looking for the maid and you can't find her.
Mhm.
She's doesn't seem to be really like working the party. She's kind of just been kind of like keeping an eye on everyone, and she doesn't seem to be around. And I think Frankenstein's monster will walk up to you. He'll say, Violet, good to see you.
You're looking flushed.
Well, just trying to just making an appearance.
Would you like a hit?
No, I'm a banker. I'm an upstanding member of this community, Violet. But you certainly fit in with this crowd, don't you? This Hollywood crowd. Who knows what sort of depraved nonsense they have planned for us tonight?
Is it not just a drinking party?
Well, you know how these types are.
They get pretty wild.
Well, let's just say that Brindlewood Bay, we used to be a town with a certain type of reputation. And lately, that reputation is just out the window.
I'm sure you have some ideas of how to correct that. Let me just get you a drink.
I was like, yeah, sure.
What are you having?
Just a club soda.
I nod and walk away, and if absolutely any of the Mavens can see me, I make an emergency signal, like tugging my ear or whatever.
We can put you all together.
Sounds good.
The monster asked me for a club soda. This is going to be insufferable.
How much have you imbibed, dear?
Ah,
How are the colors? The colors good?
The spliff counteracts the bourbon. We know this.
Okay. You were the one gesturing wildly to get our attention.
You're the one that axed the idea of the mushrooms.
What, dear? What did you say?
Oh, just that you had a good idea earlier.
Oh, of course I did. What was this about?
I think we should go down and sneak into the aquarium and look at the shark.
Get just a little bit high and you want to stare into the dark ocean.
I like to keep active.
An activity.
Yeah.
LMA, do you wish to go downstairs?
No, I might feel like I'm onto something with the moving and shaking of real estate in town here, and I kind of want to keep some tabs on it, get a little ahead of the game, if you will.
You two act like you can just see a shark at any time.
Hi.
I'm coastal town.
I see Gordon Thune over there. I cannot talk to that man. Let's go downstairs.
LMA, you have been nominated for the distraction.
I'll fetch some club soda.
Oh yes, yeah. Take it to the boring person.
Right, but if you need a distraction, I can fumble a club soda. I've got 8 arms. I can drop anything.
Oh, I'm sure Frankenstein is looking for a reason to leave the party anyway. It would be perfect.
You go down to the lower floor area where the aquarium is. It's very dimly lit. It's mainly just lit by the aquarium itself, which kind of wraps around the room. And you see sort of fish floating by, shark floating by. And then you see Abner Vidal floating by. Quite dead. Let's take a 5-minute break. Okie doke. Abner Vidal's dead. His body is floating in the shark tank. The way the tank works is essentially to like do the feedings and to tend to it. There's like a little like kind of raised platform area you could take some stairs up to kind of do whatever you need to do. So he would have had to have been hauled up there or killed and dropped in or something, right? You might even see some water, kind of collected at the base of that. But in any case, I think as soon as you discover Abner's body, Coco goes downstairs and she sees it and she lets out a scream, which alerts everyone to a problem. Everyone comes downstairs to the aquarium and is now aware that Abner is dead. And the 3 of you are there.
I whispered to B to act natural.
Yes, of course. To clarify from your description of the shark tank, do we look like the 2 people that shoved him in? Like
No,
the feeding, it's above, right? Like
yeah, and also like Coco came down there right behind you, basically, and so like there's no
just making sure that our curiosity didn't also make us look like accidental murderers.
Anyone could have done it. Anyone could have done it, like in the course of the evening, including the 3 of you. But that is, that's the situation. So I think like there's just a lot of like, well, what should we do?
I go to the front door and lock it, so it's a locked room mystery.
And I'm on my cell phone texting the sheriff about what I am seeing at this party, but saying in such a way of, just in case you were interested in doing any work today, there is an unfortunate scene at the Vidal's house. Come at once.
And because it's a group message, I say to knock twice, wait 3 beats, and then knock again, and I'll let him in.
The sheriff says, "Let me guess, a body turned up." In text.
Well, that's one mystery solved. Hurry over.
I think we get like faceplant emoji, exclamation point emoji,
Just sheriff badge emoji.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. And he says, okay, just make sure no one leaves. Make sure no one leaves. The murderer has to be there in the house. Don't let anyone leave.
Already taken care of.
And do not solve the mystery. Exclamation point, exclamation point.
I turn off my phone.
You are not a police officer emoji.
I'm going to be gesturing while I say, like, how does one retrieve a body safely from a shark tank? But of course, since I'm gesturing with 8 arms, it's always rather comedic than serious. So I'm like, we need to save this man. He might still respond to, CPR. And
Elena says, oh no, oh, the shark just took a bite out of him. Oh, we gotta get him out of there.
And I buy a lie detector app on my phone.
I think Sam and Marcus and Gordon will all like haul the body out of the water and, you know, plop it down onto the ground. And I think, and Sam is like,
I feel like they
well,
used a boat hook from what, 12,000 Leagues Under the Sea to reach it. Like grab a movie prop off the wall and haul them out.
And it's like paper mache, so it just snaps, like nothing happens.
And I lament that the shark is now a man-eater.
So I think Gordon is like, well, I didn't do it, so I'm gonna go get the police or something. I'm getting out of here. And I can't be seen in a situation like this. I'm an upstanding member of the community.
The police,
Mr.
the
Gordon.
police have empowered us not to let anyone leave, right, B?
And Mr. Thune, you, more than anyone, should want to see this cleared up in short order.
And who's going to be clearing it up? You, Ms. Baum?
The police are on their way.
Fine. I'm going to make myself a club soda.
In the
Make
meantime,
it a double.
He's like, ha ha.
in the meantime, we need a room for interviews.
And Coco says, oh, this is not how I thought tonight was going to go. Oh, a room for interviews? Sure, you can use the Tinseltown room.
I cock my head but make no mention.
The Tinseltown room. She will set you up in the Tinseltown room if you wish.
Yeah, sure. What does that mean?
The Tinseltown room, as you step into this, it's a den lounge kind of thing. It's sort of like a temple to Hollywood, right? Old Hollywood especially. And I guess as a paint a scene, what do we see? What object do you see that's supposed to be a reminder of Abner and Coco's life in Hollywood?
I think the literal Tinseltown reference of the room is referring to 6 full movie style lampposts that have been spiraled with red tinsel like any Christmas movie you've ever seen on the Hallmark Channel. They just line the room.
A picture of them with Frank Sinatra autograph.
I'm picturing the movie marquees where they click in the names, sort of, now showing. It's one of those, but it's actually from a movie theater, so it's just absurdly large, hanging on the wall, and it's got his name there.
Nice, good.
That's right.
With Devil Women from Planet X on the yeah, good. I think there's also like lots of like posters of Abner's movies, right? Like probably lining the walls. It's otherwise very chic, sort of chic. I would say this room is kind of like a mid-century modern like kind of thing with the furniture, very simple, efficient shapes. Coco says, oh, this is all so dreadful. I mean, I know Abner said you ladies have some experience with this sort of thing, so if you need to talk to people, this is just as good a room as any. You'll have Abner's spirit with you in here. He'll be looking over your shoulder like a beautiful angel, a beautiful movie-making angel.
And I already have my note set up with like memo 1 going, recording, and I say suspect number 1 on it. Wife of decedent. I'm like, and surely there's no reason that you'd want your husband to be killed, of course.
I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to kill Abner. He's so harmless. I mean, it's true, he snores quite a lot, and he's sometimes a bit of a cheapskate when it comes to dining out. But why would anybody want to kill him over something like that? You know? It just doesn't make any sense.
Of course. Would you like a pull?
She's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And she goes and she smokes it up with you. What are the rest of you doing?
I don't think that B went to the tinsel town room at all. I think that I would have gone back to the bar and followed the club soda predicament.
Very good, very good.
Suspect number 2.
Yes, Gordon Thune. Let's start writing down our side character names while we're thinking about it, or our suspects' names. So we have Coco Vidal, wife.
Coco as Cleopatra.
Indeed. We have Gordon Thune.
Both banker and Frankenstein, yes?
Yes.
Okay. June Willoughby's there in a pink sock hop outfit. And then what was the name of the Elvira woman you were talking to?
That's Elena Visage.
Oh, yeah.
How could you forget Visage?
I just completely blacked it from my brain, somehow voluntarily.
Got Marcus Greaves, who is the LA manager.
All right,
Sam Turlington,
and the maid
partner.
disappeared too. Dun dun dun.
No, she's around. She's just kind of keeps to herself.
Yeah, but at the time she had disappeared, and I'm probably feeling very paranoid at this point.
We also have who else is in the lineup here? Marcus, Coco, Sam, Gordon, June, the maid. That's everybody.
That's everybody.
Okay, well, so then B, you're kind of going to follow up with Gordon. What are you doing, LMA?
I'm gonna kind of help with the interrogations here, kind of pacing back and forth, gesturing with my multiple arms, if Violet is bad cop, I'll be good cop, and vice versa. I'll say, Coco, think on this. There's somebody who's made so many movies has to have some enemies.
And she kind of sits down and she's like, well, I mean, yeah, I suppose. And she starts this, but this is all just so new. I don't think I really can stand to get into any of the details of Abner's life.
But we have the murderer in the building. It's, we need to think on this quickly. What about real estate deals? It seems like that's a recent change in Abner's interests and behaviors.
I think eventually the spliff does start to have some effect on her, and she loosens up a bit. Roll the meddling move with presence.
Roll drugs plus what?
Indeed.
That is a 12 is what I rolled.
12, I love it.
With 8 hands, you can meddle so well.
Yeah. I'll give you a clue, and then I owe you either a void clue or a bit about the conspiracy. She says, well, I mean, I don't know how relevant this is to anything. Sorry. I don't know how relevant this is to anything, but I just, and she says, well, and she kind of gets a little nervous, and she says, I don't know if this means anything, but a couple of hours ago, right before the party started, I was looking in a waste bin and I found these. And she goes and she opens a drawer where she must have stuffed these, and she pulls out these pictures, these old pictures. She's like, look, It's pictures of our days in Hollywood. There's Abner with me and Elena. We both starred in his films back in those days. And oh, look, it's Marcus. And well, these are our memories. And someone just threw them in the trash.
Someone with something to hide.
That's your clue, though. Pictures of good times in Hollywood thrown in the trash.
Jason, for clarification, we were greeted by Abner when we first arrived at the party, correct?
Correct. Yeah, he died in,
Okay.
in the interval. Yeah, the interval. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what are you doing right now, B?
Well, I'm presuming that Marcus and Gordon are both at the bar as well, which is why I was heading in that general direction. And I guess I would just ask for Marcus to make me another drink. This has to be just one of the most remarkable parties I have ever been to.
Marcus says, yeah, well, tell you what, there's no surprises here. I've heard that someone back in LA is making a program about this town and all of its murders. And of course, lo and behold, another murder.
Well, yes, but none of the murders have ever happened at one of my parties.
He's like, right. Well, at least we'll all have a story to tell, huh?
Gordon, did you know him very well? You seemed awfully involved in the conversation earlier.
He had very, very impressive checking deposits. That's the only reason why I was even here in the first place, because he's a good customer.
I see. Are my deposits not all that interesting? You don't come and visit me.
Well, Beatrice, since you asked, you are, let's just say that the people on the board at the bank, we tend to find your hobbies as of late to be a little, well, they're not very B-Bay, are they?
Fascinating. Did you kill him?
Sure, I killed him. Yeah, that's that. I would go and kill one of our biggest clients and customers at the bank. That makes a lot of sense. A customer, by the way, who is doing all kinds of really, really big deals here in town, real estate deals that frankly I don't always agree with because I like to maintain the character of this town. But nevertheless, we live in a free market.
No, he was doing those deals. He isn't any longer. But I guess that's no skin off your nose. And I'll just go back to Marcus and just turn my back to him.
Meanwhile, back in the Tinseltown room, Coco gets a little she says, this actually isn't the first time we've been in Brindlewood Bay. We didn't just move here on a lark.
Say more.
Well, I don't know how much you ladies know about the history of this town, but there is a lot of, let's just say a lot of tragic history around these parts. That's all. For example, and specifically herewith, back in 1967, during the Summer of Love, there was a commune that sprung up just outside of Brindlewood Bay. And Abner and I, we were young, we were going to change the world, and we joined that commune. That's how we got to know this town in the first place. Of course, things didn't really go that well. The commune was, well, we didn't really interact much with the people in town. And there started to be rumors that people in town kind of resented us. They used to treat us badly when we would come in to pick up supplies, things like that. And then they started spreading all kinds of strange rumors about satanic rituals and other dark, quote, orgiastic magic going on at the commune. I mean, we certainly had alternative belief systems, but I don't think it was anything so dramatic as that. Of course, none of this mattered when that poor boy went missing. That poor boy. Georgie Maplethorpe was his name. And they blamed us. They blamed the commune. Well, Abner and I got out of there. We didn't want to have anything to do with it. We left. And a few weeks later, well, let's just say a young Wyman Dalrymple, future sheriff of Brindlewood County, led a citizens' march to the commune to find Georgie Maplethorpe. Violence broke out. The commune was burned to the ground. And all of our fellow hippies, well, no one's ever heard of them since. Or Georgie Maplethorpe, for that matter. We got out of there just in time.
Death seems to dog you.
Well, it was 1967. I mean, in a lifetime, you're gonna run into some bodies.
Of course. And he did he die doing what he loved, feeding the fish?
Ha ha. Well, if there's nothing else, I think we should just wait for the sheriff to get here. Sheriff Dalrymple.
You misunderstand me. I mean, did he actually, was it time to feed the fish? Did he have
I don't
reason
think so.
to be there?
No, I mean, he loves those sharks, and I'm sure he was just down there, contemplating them. He's very artistic soul. He contemplates.
I see. So it wasn't their feeding time.
No, but I suppose they won't be very hungry for a little bit now. And she gets up and leaves.
I stopped the recording.
I'm gonna take a little sip from a glass of sherry that I have for some reason, and say, Wyman Dalrymple marching with a citizens group to burn down a commune. Does that match what you know of him, Violet?
Well, no. I'm sure since we've known him, he hasn't had the energy for such a thing. He's a little bit lethargic these days.
Yeah, very curious.
Well, so what do you do after you're done interviewing Coco?
And this is his study, kind of deal?
It's like a lounge.
Oh, okay. I think I'll just, keep up the pretense of our authority and call for the next person to be interviewed.
Yes. I was going to throw open the door and say, send in the next suspect.
I think Sam Turlington will come in. He's got his Phantom of the Opera mask on. He's like, who put you ladies in charge anyway?
The fuzz.
Oh, yeah. You solve a couple of local murders and suddenly you're deputized into the Brindlewood County Sheriff's Department, I guess, huh?
Well, if you've solved more than us, I'm sure we would defer to your excellence.
Right. Well, I didn't do it. I mean, what reason would I have to do it? Abner and I, we were getting into some really good deals. I mean, we had a lot of stuff going on. Real estate. I mean, it was all up. I mean, look, Abner Vanel, he isn't just a filmmaking visionary. No. He's got a great mind for business. I mean, the plans we were hatching for the Bayside properties, they're going to make Brindlewood Bay an internationally renowned vacation spot.
And I give eyes to LMA, and I'm like, oh, of course not. You don't think that we think that you're the suspect. We're asking you as his closest friend and confidant who you think murdered him, of course.
Oh, well, that's pretty obvious, right? It's Marcus.
The mixologist guy?
His former agent in Los Angeles. Abner was Marcus's gravy train for most of his career, and ever since he gave up the film business and moved out here, well, let's just say the trough has been a little dry. He comes down here periodically trying to harangue Abner into coming back to LA. Los Angeles misses you. Hollywood needs you.
Did you overhear any such conversation yourself?
Well, I mean, I have, I've got a good notion for what goes on. Abner tells me that Marcus, keeps busting his balls about it, and that's fine. Anyway, that's just my theory. I'm sure he did it.
And I'll walk behind him and give LMA a look. Like, any other questions?
Tell us a little more about some of the properties that you were, just about to buy or have closed on recently.
He's like, I don't think that's any of your business. And I don't see how it's relevant.
On the table.
He's like, I don't think that's really relevant. Okay. And, confidentiality and all that.
No, you understand real estate. When people start moving land around and who owns it, people get threatened, and that could be one of our suspects. So tell us more. That was a 4 hands pointing.
You can do the meddling move with presence again. We'll see if you can convince him. However, I think because you have shaken and chilled to the bone and catch of the day, I think he's not taking you very seriously. So roll a disadvantage.
Counterpoint, we have hotbox the room.
Oh, when rolling a disadvantage, I have a 4.
A 4. Very good. All the lights go out in the house. There was music playing. I think the music playing was like, kind of like an old, like 1940s standard, like shake, rattle, and roll, that kind of thing. Da-da, da, 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 da. And it's just like, right? And everyone's like, what? Oh, what's going on? Now, all this stuff is going on. And then you hear in the darkness, and a thump. And then shake, rattle, and roll. The lights come back on. And Sam Turlington is laying on the ground, apparently dead. And I think we'll just end the session there a little early. Let's go to the end of session questions. You did solve a mystery, so everyone gets the XP for that tonight or today. So mark an XP there. Let's start with B. B, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I asked him if he wanted to come to work today.
It's true, yes. And did you dote on someone? Yes, Sarah. So you get your 2 XP for that as well. And let's go to Ella May. Did you share a memory of a late family member, Ella May?
I don't think so.
Did you share your wisdom with a young person?
Nope, not enough young people around these days.
Yeah, there are not too many today. Violet, did you behave like a woman half your age? Yes. You had your scene. You also did your Jim Rockford tasks. You get an XP for that. Did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I think we're doing it right now.
Yeah.
With the interviews and everything.
Absolutely. Very good. So I think that sorts out this session. Let's go ahead and go to stars and wishes. Stars, things you enjoyed. Wishes, things you hope to see next time. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Oh, sorry, I was marking my XP. I really like this new mystery, and I really liked the process of solving the mystery for the last one. It's always such a satisfying thing where it's very collaborative, and we always like build on the ideas until it becomes like not as like it's almost like better than contrived mysteries that you read in books usually, just because we're all thinking through all of the different things. And I also really liked that the invoking of that rule with the I can't remember the Amanda Delacour.
Oh, the Gold Crown Mystery Spoon.
Yeah, that was also really fun. And then the closing scene with the jukebox going down and then going up, loved that. Yeah, and I thought everybody was just really on their game. I liked the scene with Etienne, and I especially like that he was like more gentlemanly than expected in that. And yeah, I thought we like all really fell into like our groove kind of deal, whereas the first one we were like just finding it, we are still a post finding.
Yeah, for me, stars. This is a really funny session, and I think that humor originated from what you just said, Fraser. Like everyone has sort of settled into the rules a little bit more and kind of settled into what the game is about and the setting, and so there is like some freedom to kind of just like have fun with it and kind of do some fun things. I think we struck a really, really great tone throughout the whole session. That's like lighthearted, but like just a little bit of menace, which is what Brindlewood Bay wants, and that was really enjoyable. Love the party scene. The whole party scene was great. I like just scenes where you get to kind of linger and chat with NPCs kind of leading up to something. That was really fun. Yeah, everyone's doing a great job just kind of hitting their characters' beats and kind of what they're about. So yeah, really enjoying it.
To hit on a star, I'm going to piggyback on what Fraser was saying about how satisfying the mystery solving mechanic is. I'm just going to pile on to that a little bit further. When we as players are brainstorming, it feels like deducing. It's the same kind of satisfaction you get when the pieces click together, just as if you discovered a real answer when everybody is like communally brainstorming like that. So again, it's just a huge star, and this is my first time playing Brindlewood, and seeing it play out in a non-spooky manner is a lot of fun too, where we can have red herrings and things that don't necessarily have to fit. Let's see, what else? I also a huge star because I still was laughing when it came around to my scene for the Violet typing in Albert's name and enemies into the online. That broke me for a hard minute. And I also really enjoyed the phrase orgiastic magics. Nicely done there, mister. Also really loved the record player restarting again. That was just a really evocative moment. A personal star with how Brian's playing his character. I love the fact that we have mugs in our own life. We have our ceramics that we buy and have memories attached to, and that kind of folding into a fictional narrative is super pretty. It's beautiful to watch on this end too. So good job, Smitty.
Yeah, I was definitely going to mention the Googling Albert's name plus enemies also. It's just too ridiculous. Also loved on
the information superhighway. Yes, yeah.
The imagery of Abner Vidal floating by was stunning. That's really great, especially because
yeah. Sorry,
that's right. Oh, it's for me. It's funny because the Shark Tank was a paint the scene question. It wasn't, it wasn't written in prior.
Yeah,
to this.
I'll add. This is worth sharing. since you bring it up. So in as written, Abner is found head first in a basin for bobbing for apples since the Halloween party.
Nope.
Maid finds him and screams, and that's how you know. But since we had that great paint the scene detail, I was like, no, he's got to be like, he's bobbing in the water. The shark. Yeah, so that was fun.
What else? In retrospect, I kind of wish I would have shown up dressed as a pirate so I could have my African gray parrot with me as like a talking interjection at some point. It would have been pretty funny, but I'm having fun playing with 8 arms and seeing where that goes.
Yeah, star for me on that. I love the way you describe your arms, like going down on the table, like you can't handle the truth, kind of thing. It's great. Any other stars or wishes?
Oh, I think we all did stars and no one did wishes.
Yeah, well, go ahead, go for it. What do you got?
Well, seeing how we fold Drew's character in and how she busts into the party, maybe with the sheriff or however that kind of like syncs up, is going to be fun. But also the fact that this is a completely different environment. So this locked room, I'm really interested to see how that plays out. And how many other bodies drop, that kind of thing.
Yeah, my wish is that I hope you all get to like explore the house a little bit, because the Vidal's home is fun. And so I think that'll be kind of fun to see. And the paint the scenes are fun. And I'm also very interested to see how Dr. Thibault gets worked in. I'm sure it's just going to be like, oh, sorry, I'm late. And, Dr. Thibault's there dressed as a sexy nurse or whatever, right? So, so I think that'll be enjoyable. I also have a wish. I really hope we get to continue exploring Etienne and Ella May. I don't know, because it's a fascinating thing to me, because Ella May kind of really talking about the sort of fluidity of women's sexuality. We've gotten to see, we know this about Ella May, right? So it's kind of curious to see if Ella May develops feelings for Etienne, or if it just remains a platonic thing or whatever. I think that'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
Also, another star for the June having a platonic, misconstrued relationship with Albert. We're having a very hot affair, and meanwhile they're just validating each other.
And they're just picking out like paint swatches or whatever together,
Yeah. And then as a wish, I think just more of I think it will just happen naturally every session because of that move, but the key that I have and that whole mystery thing, more about the global conspiracy, dark conspiracy thing. And also I kind of want to know more about that wheeled whale. Is it an actual whale, or was it a squid, or Cthulhu, or
it had tentacles and rows of oily black eyes. So part of what we do in the game is we you discover the sort of dark history of Brindlewood Bay, and you've already gotten two points in the timeline, right, with the commune and then the deep reaver and the weird whales. So that's all.
Oh, so that's a codified thing?
Yeah, that's
cool.
That's on the keeper side.
I thought you were just making it up. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's written right in there. Yeah. So when you get to the first layer of the dark conspiracy unlocks once you get 3 mastermind clues, which is 2 for you guys because of the Fox Mulder move, but you have 3 in any case. But once you get 3, you unlock the first layer, which lets the keeper start revealing the history of the town. So you've got 2 of those historical details, and they all eventually connect up to into the bigger conspiracy.
I guess just then my personal mystery with the Onyx key and the strange person.
Yeah. See, that's enough. Yeah, what does that mean? I don't know. We'll find out, but we'll see. Yeah. If I have another wish, I don't think I do. I think I'm pretty good. I would also do star. I kind of just going back to the humor of the thing. I really loved the way you kind of shook that condition by getting on June's bad list. I thought that was really fun, and just the little verbal sparring there was really enjoyable. So I got kind of a a Lucille 1, Lucille 2, you know, like from Arrested Development, kind of like sparring thing vibe from it. So yeah. Anything else before we go? Okie doke. Well, this was lovely. Thank you so much. If you're watching the video, we hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.